just happened to bring the kid out.
Call the meeting order. We'll start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Jill.
Jeremy McCart,
Here.
Bernie Paparad, Roseanne Bozak,
Here.
Travis Dunlap,
Present by Zoom.
Gordon McCormick,
Here.
Michelle Watkins,
Here.
Aaron Adcock.
Here. Approval of minutes, April 7th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, Joe.
Roseanne Bozak,
Yes.
Travis Dunlap,
Yes.
Michelle Watkins,
Yes.
Gordon McCormick,
Yes.
Aaron Adcock,
Yes.
Jeremy McCart.
Yes. Communication bills and expenditures. I can't see your face, Jill, so.
Nothing.
No. Okay.
Sorry, trying to.
For officers, committee, and staff. Aaron, anything? Anything?
Just on the building permit fee schedule.
Okay. We'll get that on the old business, so in like 30 seconds and we'll get there. Old business, building department fee schedule.
Last time we discussed this, you had asked about Chesterton, their licensing fees. And their licensing fees is $100 for new or expired license, $50 for a renewal is what they charge
Okay.
for contractors. The manufacturer tag fee, that has to stay the same. We can't charge more than the state charges for that.
Oh, you did find that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that.
I just remember, like, and I was trying to touch bases with Bill, but I didn't do it fast enough, so.
Yeah, that has to stay the same. I just wanted to make sure that this is in the minutes, a correction of the minutes from last meeting, to clarify myself. For the table 15-5, those fees would be a 2026 item, but they would apply to all of the districts, not just as mentioned in the minutes, RC2 and downtown. It would be RC2, downtown, business park, and special district. And it would only apply to commercial properties, not residential. That's all right. Just that portion is what
Okay.
I meant originally. So,
Okay. Oh, it's over here. I see what happened. The business park and special district.
So, Clay, just for my clarification, with like looking at these fees, if we don't have any issues with these,
Yeah.
We have any
do does this need to go to the town council for them to review and then request it to be put into ordinance form if they wanna make these changes?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything, any questions or issues with this? It's a lot of work. I mean, there's been like 4 building commissioners that have mentioned this but never actually done it, so kudos to you for going through all the trouble of doing it.
Yeah.
I don't have any issues that are apparent to me. Clay, does this actually need to be a motion?
Yes, because you're basically forwarding this to. and
With a recommendation.
With a recommendation to the council to adopt these provisions.
Okay. On that note, I would entertain a motion if somebody was willing.
I'll make a motion to forward to the council with the correction we talked about.
A second.
Any discussion? Just for clarification, the correction that we talked about.
Adjusted price will re-included business parking and special district in the table 15-5.
It just looks like it's a typing. If we could get the, you know,
Well,
all the lines and
the
Excel.
adjusted
I mean,
price is
like if you use
the business part
outlining,
in the
it makes it a
special
little easier to
district.
agree on paper.
It just returns to the second line. It's
Right.
supposed to be there.
Alright.
Oh, so those two. Hey, do you see what we're, like, when you look at under adjusted prices,
Mm-hmm.
it says table 15-5 fee schedule for RC2, comma, downtown district, comma, and then your other 2 districts that are supposed to be in adjusted prices return into the left column,
Oh, I see
which
that.
makes it look confusing.
Yeah,
So, can we make sure that we, I don't know, try to get that over to the right so that,
Yes, yeah, I can redraft that, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it just looks like it's a lineup adjustment.
Yeah, if you can,
Because it's doing it, and you wanna pay attention because it's doing it on other lines. Where you can see, like, if you follow the line across, it's brought the next part, like, you can see under, like, the third one down where it says $1, comma, and then if you follow the line down, your 3 zeros for the $1,000 are down here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
she's talking.
So it just looks like an alignment issue when you printed it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing would be like what you talked about, the manufacturer tag fee of adjusting, just leaving that at the 10,
Yes,
because what I have still shows 20 here.
yeah.
And because in the proposed ordinance that presumably I'll draft, and I can maybe try to get drafted out this week so the council has it, it won't say what the current one is. You
Right.
Go to the town website, see what the current one is, it'll just say, you know, move to amend the, you know, current town code to reflect and read as follows, so certificate of occupancy is 40, you know, and some of this is gonna be on the fee table, I believe. So I'll need to
Okay.
keep that.
Any other discussion? Roll call, Jill.
Roseanne Bozak,
Yes.
Travis Dunlap,
Yes.
Michelle Watkins,
Yes.
Gordon McCormick,
Yes.
Aaron Adcock,
Yes.
Jeremy McCart.
Yes. New business, review of bonds, maintenance guarantees, letters of credit. Yeah.
I looked at it before we went here. I don't have any questions on it.
I mean, other than, I think we need to inquire about the bonds that have been put in place for Putnam that aren't on here. before we lose track of them.
Would that be Jill that puts those on there?
Who maintains the bond spreadsheet?
The clerk treasurer.
Okay. Can we just send a request that, because we should have bonds for phases 5, 6, 7, and 8. And none of that is indicated, so we don't know any expirations or anything like that. So obviously, there's nothing that should be
Right.
expiring at this point, but I don't want to let a year go by and then us misstep because we don't have an opportunity to call somebody out on it before their bond expires. So, yes, that's the only one I'm aware of. The other new business, Frontier Permit Extension 22-112, 22-130, 22-131.
They said somebody was going to be here, but
Okay.
I haven't had any communication.
You're not the guy?
Ma'am.
These usually there's a copy of the original.
Joe, do you have some any firsthand knowledge on this project and what they're,
No, very little, to be honest.
it's just a utility project?
Yes, yeah.
I've seen the paint all over the side.
Yeah, I would say they've already been marking and, for replacement sheet.
So that's where they're at right now, marking?
Usually there's the original permit copy, you can see kind of when it was issued and that has the info, and then this is just the extension page for the 3 different permit numbers.
Joe, do you have any issues with if an extension was approved for Frontier Communications so they can complete this work?
No,
Nothing that was like,
nothing else.
okay. Clemens Landing, Trail Creek, intersection Haglin and Westport. Burns Boulevard, Mountain Road.
What was the original date of the permit?
It's,
I'm not
or it's
seeing
a
it.
22 dash, that means it was in 22.
The only thing,
Which means they've had an extension this many times already?
or they've never brought an extension before this board before. So my guess is they applied for the permit and then never did the work, and then now they're actually trying to do it and realize that it's expired.
I wish they didn't tell us.
They're doing a lot of underground boring. There should be a blast on
Yeah.
the village. That's a lot of.
So we don't know if getting the extension means that they're ready to do the work, we're just assuming because they painted that they're ready to do the work.
Well, 2 of them, the estimated date of completion is December, 1 is October.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 15,000 feet of boring at the village. Get ready for local power lines. Give it to the.
I guess at this point, unless there's anything else, I would entertain a motion. If no one's feels comfortable without speaking to them, then we can continue until next month.
I'll make a motion to postpone to next month. So they have marks all over the village, for example, is.
I'm not, I can't speak to that, I can always
How's
speak.
it done in the village as far as marking? Always underground utilities and everything, when you start boring, it's 15,000 feet of underground
Yeah.
cable.
I don't know which area, the only thing I can say is I know that my subdivision is, just because it's in my front lawn, and I was just out there today, so it's all marked up, but,
But it doesn't show your subdivision under there, this is just,
well,
unless I read this wrong.
there's Cortland's Landing in, on the first page. Cortland's Landing and Trail Creek subdivision, phase 1.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
So it identifies 3 different areas.
No, that's-
Fibers for frontier.
9,500 feet was a drop over, that's not so bad in your neighborhood, I don't think.
I waited.
Yeah, but everything in my subdivision is underground, so there's a lot of possibilities. So, okay. Roll call, Jill.
Travis Dunlap,
Excuse me, what's the motion on the floor right now?
So the motion made by Gordon was to postpone any further on this until next month when they can have a representative present.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I heard that correctly, so that is a yes.
Michelle Watkins,
Yes.
Gordon McCormick,
Yes,
Aaron Adcock,
Yes.
Roseanne Bozak,
Yes.
Jeremy McCarthy.
Yes. Jill, can we send them notification letting them know that there was no decision made and that their presence, because they requested this to be put
They
on
did,
last
and
minute
yep.
and then they didn't come.
And I
So,
emailed him this morning again reminding him. He said a representative would be here.
Okay. Good of the order, any other business? I guess, so I had a conversation with Joe in regards to Taco Bell. And I had he brought up to me a question about the rear entrance going out on the Old Porter Road. On what he took from the minutes, the way it was worded as comparing to, I guess my question is the site plan. I reviewed the video from the July 31st meeting, and when you watch it, it's only 2 minutes in. When they're talking about right in, right out only, they're talking about the intersection of US Highway 20 by the pilot.
exactly.
But it sounds like from our conversation, there's further talks that maybe it got interpreted that Old Porter Road is right in, right out only.
They have it drawn up that way on the plans, and it's striped on asphalt, so it won't be a curb
On Old Porter Road,
going on the border road,
There's,
yes.
I don't see
but that wasn't,
any logical reason to have it right on Old Porter Road. The biggest argument was Highway 20.
I guess my question with that is, that wasn't the plan that was approved by this board. And for them to make changes in traffic configurations and things like that along Old Porter Road, it's my understanding that they would need to come to us if they intended on changing part of an approved plan.
I would agree.
I think limiting that, I think then,
I guess my biggest issue is they agreed to have a right in, right out only on Highway 20, and that is not a right in only.
I would have to defer to looking at it and actually seeing what it looks
Yeah,
like,
it's just-
but I guess I was questioning the interpretation of the Old Porter thing. I know it's a little confusing when you read the minutes, but when you then put it together with all the communication from NDOT through emails as well as actually watching the video, it's clear that after he says that about the 2 conditions that they said, which was adding the entrance and then the right in, right out to alleviate the traffic with that intersection because of what the projects they were doing with the turn lane, the right in, right out was only supposed to apply to US Highway 20. I don't think NDOT would put any stipulations on our traffic on our local road. That would have been coming from us, so. My thought is that shouldn't be configured as a right in, right out on Old Porter Road.
No traffic
And
control.
people need to be able to turn out left, because otherwise it's gonna counteract, so anybody that lives in Cortland's Landing then you're telling them they can't turn left to go back home, they're literally gonna go back out to US Highway 20, which is what we're trying to alleviate all of that traffic out there. So if they did that, it's counterproductive from my standpoint. And it just leads to more safety concerns
Because
because
you get home, your food before.
So how, I've driven past there lately, so how far along are they? Where's this coming from?
I'd say 90%, maybe I'm wrong, maybe Joe
But
can
they
do
have,
it
they
better.
have they have the curb, if you wanna call it that, forward on Highway 20, where it's a right out only. But coming in, you can turn left off 20.
They have a goal of an opening date, May 19th.
So I think
May
that
19th.
we need to be in touch with whomever,
Can you
because I mean,
Like the
presumably,
building's not even done yet, it's like next week.
do they have an occupancy permit? Are they scheduled to have?
I would
some sort
assume
of-
that is a no because there's no parking lot yet. I was just, after talking to Joe last week and the way he made it sound, I was like, I don't remember any conversation about Old Porter Road being a right in, right out only.
I
And that threw me back because I'm like, I usually pay pretty good attention in here. And that was confusing for me.
I think this board, through your building commissioner, needs to be proactive on this. and
That's why I'm bringing-
contact them
Yeah.
to point out how they have not developed it per the approval of this board.
So yeah, as far as the Old Porter Road exit, it should just be standard marked. People should be able to turn right, turn left. If they want to change that, they would need to come back to this board to have their site plan amended. And then I guess my question for you in regard to your question with the little, what do we call those things?
Curb,
Triangle, whatever it is.
I'm sure the term for it.
Does NDOT check those or is that just,
My problem with that is, the NDOT approved their entrance. A different part of NDOT approved the left turn lane for pilot. Neither one communicate, in my opinion,
right,
but it wouldn't allow what happened right there.
like does,
Right.
They need some serious traffic control, whether it's a yellow pole in the middle of Highway 20, or have them redo that pork chop to an actual right-in only. You need to count access in order to get them to do that.
Also, there's a precedent in, that the town could use, Raising Cane's in Michigan City had a similar situation. It's a restaurant pulling out onto 421 highway, and they tried to get something done differently, and there was accidents, and then they made changes.
No, we don't wanna break that.
That's a perfect example, because we're in a very similar situation, pulling out of a restaurant under a major highway.
Yeah, if we know it's wrong, we need to address that and do whatever we can do to get it fixed. Quick.
Before they start putting the blacktop down.
Yeah, I'll do that tomorrow.
yeah, it may be, as much as I hate bothering Shem with it, I had a brief discussion with him today when we were talking about the agenda and there's not really anything for him, but I guess the question with that is, I don't know if there is like, with what they put in, does that meet a minimum standard for that? And can we require them to do anything further? Or maybe it's not even up to standard, I don't know.
Is there?
I understand that like, you're not, like, that you want it to be better, and I'm in agreement, but
Is there even a deceleration lane there? If you're heading east on 20, to turn right in there, or is it gone since they widened, since they put the center turn lane in? It's gone. And that's what I mean, there was no communication between the two parties.
Well, from what Shem explained to me, is the prints that I have were approved by NDOT. And if the town wants to change anything going on Highway 20, what they would have to do is write a letter to NDOT requesting what changes they want made to that, to change it.
I don't know, they agreed that night that they're gonna make it a right-in, right-out only.
Because I went out there and measured everything and made sure.
So we
what I
could
had
write that
was
letter.
that print.
Sorry. So we could write that letter to NDOT and get that ball rolling, because we all know how slow that ball's gonna roll until somebody grabs it. And then are we able to stop the Taco Bell from opening until it gets fixed? If it's not, that the site plan that we approved is not met, then they can't get a certificate of occupancy, right?
But if, like, I guess my follow-up to it is, if what they put in there meets a minimum standard, I don't know who sets a standard for a right-in, right-out curb.
That's only part of it though, the deceleration lane, there is none now, it's gone. When they widen, put the center turn lane, it's gone, it's no longer there.
But even if there's a minimum standard, does that minimum standard matter if they change the site plans that we've approved? Like, you can't just change site plans at the field without approval.
But they
They
didn't,
didn't change
they
that.
didn't
They didn't
change,
change
they
it.
didn't change US Highway 20.
It's the back.
That's the Indiana Department of Transportation that changed that. So we can't hold Taco Bell responsible for what NDOT changed.
Well, to a
at-
point, but
at-
they, okay,
well,
fine,
they had approved plans and then NDOT made changes.
So NDOT's the one who made the change to the access, ingress, egress off of 20?
No, they made changes to, they shifted the traffic pattern to make a larger dedicated left turn into the pilot, which then shifted the eastbound lanes occupying some of the deceleration lane that did exist. So now what was a deceleration lane that would have fed that entrance is now a traffic lane.
To turn right and
Yeah.
and go south.
Cause that deceleration lane, I don't know why I'm struggling with that word, but that used to exist to be able to feed Mega Automotive and or whatever else was there before. But obviously now we're looking at, I would say, a significant amount more traffic into a Taco Bell than what it was to the old car dealership that was there. And now that deceleration lane is occupied by a traffic lane.
and even if the state says it's fine, they stood here and agreed for the right in, right out only. They said, we will do that,
I would agree
and they
with that.
didn't do it.
I think you can hold them to develop the property pursuant to the approved site plan, and they have not done that, it doesn't sound like.
So in regards to the right in, right out.
Correct.
So it's basically that triangle-ish thing that,
That they put on Old Porter Road, that needs to be on Highway 20.
There's one on 20, I think I saw a little pork chop.
It is,
Yeah.
but there's nothing, I mean, to me, it needs to be, I'm happy with the fact that it's a foot high, okay? But it's a foot high to turn right out of there, but coming in, there's nothing, it's just straight, you can cut right across Highway 20 if you
It's
want.
like by Aldi and Chesterton on the Indian boundary, you know, there, people turn left out of there all the
Oh, yeah.
time. I mean, there's not much you gotta drive over, I've never done it, but, you know.
There's not, it's
I
not
see
a
People
curve,
do
it's
it all
small.
the time,
Yeah.
and it's lower, it's
Exactly.
easy to drive over, it's just there for show. This one at least was a little more substantial of a pork chop.
But the, okay.
so what you're, I'm just trying to make sure I'm interpreting this right. So your issue isn't for the traffic exiting to the right, your
Yes.
issue is that it potentially allows the westbound traffic to turn left
And
because
then
it's not
we'll
marked
do it.
one.
Even if it's a proper pork chop, it's still be doing it. You would hope not, but, you know, if it's that tall and painted yellow, they're gonna say, I can't turn here, hopefully.
Right.
Or they'll just go and be flipping U-turns.
Maybe that's their
Having
fault.
20 to get in,
Right.
and that's,
It's just, I said at the beginning, this is a horrible, horrible thing to do. We should have forced them to put that entrance across from Minus Drive.
I-
That's what needed to be done.
I guess from my perspective, and maybe everybody else feels differently, but I would make sure that before an occupancy permit is granted, that whatever they built meets the site plan that was approved. We can't hold them to a standard beyond what we approved, but it needs to meet that site plan.
I feel we need to push the issue, they agreed to the right in, right out, and they did not do that.
Well,
They agreed to, after all the discussions and arguments in here,
That's the problem, I don't have a drawing that shows that, anywhere, for the Taco Bell prints.
what do you mean?
Like you're saying, right in, right out, I don't see anything that was drawn on there for that. They have that on Old Porter Road, not Highway 20.
Okay, well, I guess my question is in regards to an email that was sent to our Burns Harbor Secretary and CC Jim Sada and Matt Ray on July 22nd. It says, Jill, below is an email message from Lauren Huffman dated July 9th regarding US Highway 20 access drive. NDOT will require a right-in and right-out drive configuration at US Highway 20, and the plans will soon be revised to reflect this requirement. So, with that being said, it appears to this board, and I would communicate to them, that they haven't met the right-in, right-out drive configuration that is required by NDOT. That is them requiring that, and we're making sure that they do that, because if NDOT inspects it and says that there's nothing more that we can do, there's nothing we can do.
I just, that letter, that's what they said they were gonna do, we need to hold them to it, and you're gonna do this, or you won't be able to, none may not be, I guess. Make sure you have a copy of that, and I would
Yeah.
highlight that, and you guys agree to this, you do it.
Okay.
Rip the curb out, put it properly, and get it done. Make sure it's
I'll talk to
paying
them
the bill.
tomorrow.
And just follow up, making sure that there's no restrictions on the exit on Old Porter Road
Okay.
that keeps somebody from turning left out of there, because that's not what we approved. Because that seems
That's just
ridiculous. Because people are gonna, like you said, people are gonna do it, and then they're just gonna be complaining about something that's irrelevant and shouldn't be restricted anyways.
Right.
So, yeah. Good to go over any other business? Do you wanna talk? I mean, you're here.
No, sir.
I wanna listen to you.
No, yeah, you don't wanna listen to me. Life is good. I should show up more. But we don't have any data centers going up that I know of, so
No. I mean,
life is good.
Outstanding on that, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, Jill.
Roseanne Bozak,
Yes.
Travis Dunlap,
Yes.
Michelle Watkins,
Yes.
Gordon McCormick,
Yes.
Aaron Adcock,
Yes.
Jeremy McCart.
Yes. 6:31.